Alright, so I'm going to go over how to use the page builder. So let's go ahead and go to our dashboard and create a new page. And we'll just call this anything. We don't need these messages. So we'll call it, let's call it sample page, I guess. And let's publish it. And I'm going to go and just open it in another tab so we can tab back and forth and see the changes as we make it. So the first thing to do to enable the page builder is up here. So you can choose the front end editor or back end. I highly recommend the back end. It just has a little bit easier to use personally than the front end. And there might be display issues on the front end depending on what customizations you're doing. So let's just click back-end editor, and then you'll get this pretty visual composer, and this is your page builder. Of course, you can click on these shortcuts, but in general, these are the two you will click on. One's templates and one's elements. So let's start with element. So we just add an element, and at first you'll be like, wow, there's a lot of options. Don't worry, you can narrow it down if you want to use theme-specific elements. Click on Pro Elements, and these are things like your restaurant map, a single map, media grid, and buttons. Let's just go ahead and start off with button. So once you've added an element, you'll get a list of options. You can, of course, let's just, for example's sake, add in a link so this button works. And, of course, I'll let you play around with these options. Once you've added your element or your layout or whatever you're done editing your page, make sure you update it. And let's refresh our page. So now we've added our button to our page, and this is kind of the layout of the page builder. If you hover over the element that you've added, you can edit it. Then you can also edit other things like the container it's in or the column. And if you hover it for a second, it'll tell you exactly where it does, column, and then the entire row. So the next thing I want to go over is how to add the templates. So if you click on templates, you'll get none. These are saved ones if you have a template you want to save. What you want to do is go to default templates, and from there you can see elements from our theme, like our home page, highlight areas, and then there's actually a bunch of other ones built in if you want to play around with those. But these will probably be the most common one. For instance, let's go and add highlight. And once it's added, it'll tell you. You can close it, and then you'll see your highlight. And let's go and update that. And refresh our page, and you can see the highlight. So there's a couple really cool things you can do by editing these now. So let's dig right in and just show you an example. So if you edit this entire row, you can see that it's being stretched. So for instance, if you didn't want it to be stretched, you just click default and update it. And then if we refresh it, you can see it's no longer stretched. You can see there's a gap on each side. And so there's tons of options you can play around with. Trying to think about some good examples to go over. I guess we'll just continue with this one. If you edit it, you click Design Options. You can adjust the background color if you wanted. I'm just going to make it green so you can see how that displays. You can use images, all sorts of stuff. And in the live preview, for example, we have it displaying at the bottom right there. The way to do that's pretty simple. You just look at the margin and you tell it -50 pixels, save that and update it. Now when we refresh, you can see our background's changed and it's at the bottom. This isn't the prettiest example, but it's a good way to show you how to edit different things. Then, if you want to do something like adjust the columns, you can do that right here. You just hover over this column, and let's go ahead and change it to 4 columns, and you can see it adds 4 columns for you, and then you can add elements to that as you need. So update that, and let's go and refresh it, and it doesn't really show you because there wasn't any text there, but if you added elements, you're at 4 columns.